Hey, what is up, guys? It is Tone or Max here, and today I'm going to be showing you a way that I like to do drop shadows on stuff. So as you can see, I have a picture of the Cybertruck, and a few different ways you can do the drop shadow in Photoshop. So one way, which is which is like the beginner way, is to go into double-click the layer and go into drop shadow. And then this isn't the worst thing in the world depending on where you want your sun coming from, but for this tutorial I'm specifically talking about sun from above, or so here's my truck. So either above, directly above the subject, behind the subject, or in front of the subject. So I'm not talking about the sun is right here and the subject is right here, or vice versa. But some of the stuff could apply to that, but that's pretty much what drop shadow is for. So if you look at this, so this is what drop shadow will do pretty much, starting off. And I can adjust this, I can adjust the angle and all that, but this is what drop shadow will do. So it's pretty much made for shooting directly on, or like shadows that are directly cast onto something, like if you take a picture of a pencil on a piece of paper. That's what it's built for. So you've probably seen an advertisement with something pretty similar to this. So instead, what we're going to do, let me show you one more way that people also do it. Take their soft brush tool, and then they will, okay, this is weird. They will just go in with the soft brush tool like this, and then this is like the super starter way to do it. So then it kind of looks like the Tesla is a shelf almost. No, you can make this a little bit better if you have a oval brush instead of a circle. And if you control T, hold shift and then drag it, or no, don't hold shift and then drag it down. This can give you a more realistic look to what that shadow might look like. And this is what I did for a long time, because it actually ends up looking pretty dang close to what it should look like. But the way that I like to do it these days is take whatever you're using, control T, right click, flip vertical, and then we're going to take this directly below this. And then sometimes even go like maybe here. Okay. And then this can also let you do a cool reflection if you want. So I'm going to duplicate that in case I want to do that. But I will take a layer above that reflected layer that we just put down, and I will hold Alt to mask this new layer onto that layer. And then I'll fill that layer with black. So now we have this shadow. So I'm going to merge these layers and then go to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur is fine. You can play with like motion blur too if you want. And then you can play with this, see what you want it to be. I'll probably just go like 9. Alright. And then I'm going to make a mask above this layer. And I'm going to turn the layer down a bit. So like maybe right here. Let's do like 25. And then I'm going to select the mask, grab my brush again with the black, and then I'm going to just wipe some of this away. And that can make a pretty good looking shadow. And then if you want to go a step further to make it look even more realistic, you can control T and then warp this again, just like we did earlier. But this time we actually have a shadow, or like you see that line right there, or I have a pointer, I don't know why I'm pointing with my finger, but you see that line right there? That's way more accurate to what the car actually looks like compared to this one. So this shadow gives a more realistic reading of what that from above would look like. And then just to polish it off, and if I was going to actually use this, what I would do is, well, first of all, I'd go in here. Some of this might look a little unrealistic because of where I put the shadow. I pushed it up a little bit. So I'd get rid of this stuff by the tires. And then I'd make a new layer, grab my black brush, and then I'd go under the tires with the normal black oval. Or take my brush opacity, go down to like 25%. And I'm going to do one little sweep right here. And then I'm going to take my brush here. And what we're just trying to get the illusion of is some more depth. So I'm going to soften that up a little bit. So I have this. Okay, and then I'm going to Control T once again because I don't have an oval brush installed, and then I'm going to make these into little ovals. So now we have that. I'm going to do a little bit more just so these look flat. We're trying to get the appearance that it looks like this is actually sitting here. So I'm going to turn this down, and look at that. So now it actually looks like those tires have a more realistic shadow. So then if we compare these now to the shadow that we were doing. So this is our current shadow. Pretty good. I think it looks pretty realistic. This part in the middle is a little harsh, but not terrible. Versus this. You can choose, but I think this looks more realistic in the end. So that's what I would do when playing with giving an object a drop shadow. The same thing applies if you had like a vase that you took a picture of. You could just flip that vase like we did, make it black, and then do the same thing. So it just gives you a lot more accurate reading of what a shadow would look like on something compared to this. And this will do, but it's not the same. It's not as accurate. It's close, but it's not as accurate. So that's my tip. That's what I would do. I'm not a shadow expert, but that's just a little thing that I thought I'd give out. So yeah, this is our final product. I think it looks really clean. Added a little bonus for those of you who stayed to the end of the video. Super quick tutorial on the reflection. So all we're going to do here is, I'm in the thumbnail now, so pretty meta. But all we're going to do here is copy this layer mask so that it's on one side. Going to turn it down, the opacity down. So this is the same shape that I copied from earlier. Turn it down to maybe 10%, if that's enough. Okay. And then I'm going to take my brush here. I'm going to brush away this bottom part. So now as you can see, we have a little tiny reflection, and it's a very tasteful, small reflection. And then we can bring that above the shadow or below, you can decide. But as you can see here, we also have a little weirdness going on because I did put this shadow at a different angle. So I'm going to get rid of right below the tire. So now I have a nice little reflection going. And I like how that looks. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Watch for Timed Self-Expression coming in 2024. Peace out.